mysterious and mighty people across the grand and mighty spectrums of time and indeed the multiverse. I am Alexander Gordon Johans, and yeah, things have recently, well, I say recently, I've been away from YouTube for a while. I've been away from kind of publishing on my blog for a while. I have not stopped making videos. I have been making video after video. I have been writing blog after blog, and I am working on a thing. Basically, I ended up doing a sort of redraft thing. Just kind of one short story led into a different kind of take on a sort of series thing I was writing, but like that's the one area things are going right. Everything else I try to write, everything else I try to make a video of, just fails. It just fails. I just don't. I mean, I know that my standards of making videos are generally of such a low quality that that you wouldn't think anything could fall below it. But I felt like the stuff I've been producing has, and it's not for lack of trying. And now I have read Neurotribes by Silberman, and I feel like I've got something to talk about. And yeah, brace yourself, kids. Brace yourselves, kids. This is gonna be a long, rambly one. So, Neurotribes is not an easy book. It's not an easy book, and it's not the book I expected it to be either. Right? Neurotribes. That, I picked it up because I expected something vaguely futuristy and politicky, and I didn't really get that. Also, reading the blurb, oh, this is a book about autistic people, I was bracing for kind of Curious Instant of the Dog in the Nighttime levels of like pretentious and anger inducing, right? Like the thing about the Curious Instant of the Dog in the Nighttime is it takes like a condition that, you know, I am on the spectrum of, and it turns it into essentially a movie twist gimmick, right? It's like, I'm gonna teach you guys about this condition by making it into a horrible thing that is gonna be heartbreaking. And so when I finally read The Curious Instant of the Dog in the Nighttime, which I'd mainly not read because I just avoid hype, and I'm like, everybody's talking about this thing, fuck it, I'm not going to be interested. Like, I'm genuinely am hyped to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but I'm not going to because everybody else is right now. Right? Like, genuinely, I loved Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 has got Ben Browder in it. It's Farscape with Farscape. It's awesome and I love it. But I'm not going to see it because I don't like hype. So I avoided The Curious Instant of the Dog in the Nighttime because I don't like hype. And then I read it. And I was filled with such disdain and contempt that this was how people saw autistic people? this was what they thought. And the fact that essentially, like, it's treated in that book as though it's this great, tragic, but understandable thing that the father kills the dog because the autistic guy is annoying. Da, 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 da. Right? So, I was expecting to hate this book. And pretty much the first chapter of this book is just like, okay, nose to the grindstone it is then, because literally you are going to be sticking your face up against an industrial sander as it just, you know, it's just this is not going to be fun, and it wasn't fun, but it wasn't what I thought it would be, right? This is not a history of autism. This is a history of how people have tried to diagnose and treat autism. Okay? This is neurotypicals looking at other neurotypicals, looking at autistic people. And there is a through line, there is a narrative kind of being sculpted here, in the sense of I am selecting these facts and these anecdotes because I want to craft this chronology and I want to get this message across, but the message is subdued, right? It's there. The author's intent is there. He does not hide the bias, but neither does he let the bias cloud the presentation, right? As I said, I am not someone who responds well to pressure, right? So if I read something that someone's like, you know, saying, oh, this is really, really bad, I go, well, is it? Is it though? Is it though? Is it? I mean, this is kind of why I found myself actually becoming more conservative aligned as I've been reading Owen Jones, right? Like, neoliberal policies are fundamentally stupid and they're killing capitalism and killing people, and the conservatives are fucking daft. But every time I read Owen Jones talk about Margaret Thatcher and the Battle of Orgreave, I am like, yes, yes, smash them, rise capitalism, rise. And it's like, no, hang on, no. This is what killed capitalism. Yeah. So I'm really not the kind of person to who will, you know, even if a book is slanted in my favor, like even if it was literally like, you know, a book specifically about why, you know, white overweight guys with Kalman syndrome deserve to get laid by pretty submissive white girls, right? Like that, even if it was so very specifically, we're talking about making you happy, I would still be like, hey, bro, you're pushing your narrative a bit strong here. And Steve Silberman doesn't do that, right? There is a narrative there is a bias there, it is not hidden, but he does not let that get in the way of showing you what he's showing you, right? He will present you with examples. He will present you with facts. He will present you with snippets of narrative as part of his overall narrative. But those snippets are not butchered by the desire to make them fit, right? Like, you can see where this stuff like applied behavioral analysis and stuff starts to make sense, even when it goes off deeper end and deeper end and deeper end. Like, you know, you understand where it fucking came from. You know, it's not saying this is what happened and these are bad people. It's saying this is what happened. I think they are bad people. Judge for yourself. And actually, he presents enough of circumstance and context that, yeah, you do understand why the fuck they felt this way, at least up until a certain point. And even beyond that point, you can kind of understand how, if you had that certain perspective, you can end up in that direction. So I like that in just the kind of the way it is written. Okay, sorry, I did in fact do a BA in creative and professional writing and film studies. I know, fat lot of good that did me, but you know, I actually give a shit about reviewing how something is actually written. But this isn't just a book review. Because this book, it presented its case, it presented the anecdotes and the facts, and every chapter, pretty much, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 chapters in this very long book, every chapter is just painful. It is just horrible. Right? Like, genuinely, I would rather kind of like troll through page after page of 4chan notes about how horrible I am, right? because at least that has a certain metatextual level that you can say, ah, well, they're joking, ah, well, they're doing this because of that, because of this, whereas when you're reading Neurotribes, it's basically a history of neurotypical people fucking over the autistic, right? It's like, you know, the Leo Kanner, the guy who came up with autism, he backed up eugenics and ignored racism in America and leaned towards toxic theories about how, yes, parents are all to blame. Asperger, Hans Asperger, was a Nazi. Well, no, he wasn't a Nazi, but he did work under the Nazi regime, tried to do good within it, but still, fundamentally, he was involved in the system that sent children to be brutally killed and tortured. So, yeah, the 2 fathers of autism, and they're horrible. And then you have the 2 fathers of curing autism. You know, and it's like, you know, Bernard Rimland, this guy who through his child, you know, awakens to what autism is, and he gets all these parents together, and the parents work out that they can fight against all this psychological bullshit that's going on, because basically, right, Asperger kind of has the right idea, but he's got a whiff of Nazi about him, and Kanner's tried to claim autism for himself, and he's trying to, you know, be have his own very specific claim to fame, and he's kind of tap dancing around trying to say, no, but I'm still relevant in this way and that way and da 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 da. So basically, like, Bernard Rimland becomes he becomes the sort of the great prophet saying, lo, parents of autistic people, come with me, and I shall lead you into the promised land. And here, with my friend, Lavaz. The problem there is that, you know, Lavaz does do some alright stuff, right? He comes up with applied behavioural analysis, which is controversial because it's a sort of take on sort of the Skinner experiments, you know, the Skinner box mechanisms, you know, that we all know from video games now. He kind of extrapolated that for use to train autistic people to better function in society, right? And Lavaz's story really is like a slippery slope into fucking darkness, right? It starts off with, like, you know, this kid keeps bashing herself in the head and on sharp edges to the point where she could, you know, kill herself. And like Lavaz has all this money to study and help people with autism, but he can only do that if his one test subject stays the fuck alive. So it's like, from that one thing, you know, it's like Palpatine saying to Anakin, "Oh, you're having prophetic dreams, are you? I can help you there." Because Lavaz is then like, "Why won't you stop hitting your fucking head? You're gonna die!" And he smacks her. And it's like, that instance, you can kind of justify it. Because it's like, here is a case where someone is being violent to the detriment of their health, where they would genuinely be subjected to an asylum experience which would be severely detrimental to their health and to their quality of life, right? He is saving this person's life, right? You know, it's kind of like a qualitative, individual equivalent of the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, right? Like, yes, I am going to be a shit, but if it saves you from greater shit in the long term, maybe it's okay. Then it stops being okay, because you get sort of like power creep. Except it's not power creep in terms of Superman, it's a psychotherapist who's dealing with children being a power creep. Because this guy starts with, well, this child is about to kill themselves, and all our funding will go up in smoke, and then it becomes, well, this is what is known as aversive stimuli, which means that we will make them adverse to doing things we don't want them to do, and we're just going to do this to things that will get them that will get them institutionalized, that will be very bad to the health, and then maybe we'll just do it to the things that would cause them to have a good deal of stigma later on in life, like like hand flapping and stimming and stuff like that, and then he becomes part of what is known as the Feminine Boy Project. Yeah! Torture the gay away. So that's one of the fathers of kind of helping children with autism. And the other father of helping children with autism, Bernard Rimland, then goes on to become a peddler of biomedical bullshit and one of the champions of the anti-vaxxer bullshit. So So we've got a eugenicist, a Nazi, someone who tried to electrocute gay people into being straight, or depending on how you take the research, trans people into being cis, and the other guy is partly responsible for the fact that we now have preventable diseases in the world now, and all these poor autistic children get flooded with all these abominable tests, like, yes, we will inject you with this and that and scan you in this way and that way, and then we will find the cure. There isn't one. There isn't one. And so basically every chapter of this book is just painful to read as an autistic person, because it's just like, why the fuck would you do that? Why? But then it gets better. And basically, like, for people like Lorna Wing, and for people like I'm forgetting some names. Lorna Wing, Miss Sullivan, and a man named and I've forgotten the name. Oh, but basically, like, they redefine they redefine the parameters of mental health, not just autism, all mental health, so as to ensure that the most people get the most help possible. This is what causes all the neurotypical idiots to go, oh my god, there's a pandemic, we must kill all the children. Sorry, that's what being an anti-vaxxer is, right? If your reaction to neurodivergence is, well, we'll just have the plague then you're a monster. You are a monster. Because you are saying that you would rather children die than that they have some neurodivergence. Like, the science is bullshit, but frankly, I don't care that the science is bullshit. You are still prioritizing the fact that people might get neurologically divergent over the fact that they could die. Right? That's horrible. And yeah, the science is bullshit as well. So you're horrible and you're fucking stupid. But you know, these guys, they expand the definition, make it so that autistic people can get help. And then basically what you get is nerds taking stuff, nerd liberation, basically. Autistic liberation, with autistic people organizing and rallying behind the idea that, you know what, they don't need their parents to speak for them anymore. They don't need psychiatrists and clinicians and all these other people. Like, they can speak out, they can put their voices across, and they can make a difference. That they can fight for improving the quality of their lives right now. And I suppose, yeah. To all you people, to all you lonely guys behind your keyboards going, the women get the feminism and the black people get Black Lives Matter and the gay people get gay pride, but what's for me? Autistic rights. Autistic rights and autistic equality. We have a long way to go. I mean, for God's sake, autistic people are still being lynched. But I also feel like I need to apologize here, because this book was painful because I'm an autistic person reading about the history of autistic people, but also because I am a mildly autistic person. And because the thing about autism is that unless you have a profound enough sort that there are so obvious, signs, autism is very much autism is very much a problem for other people, right? It is a case of other people being shitheads towards you because they don't understand you, right? You think you understand the world, you're trying to navigate the world, you think you're you, and you are, and you're just trying to fit in, and so you don't know something's up. And if you're part of a culture that's afraid of autistic people, you become afraid of autistic people as well. I mean, it's like I am bisexual, right? And I do remember distinctly one moment when I was basically a homophobic dickhead, because genuinely I was kind of in the sort of Eve time, like I was about to realise I was bisexual. So I had a lot of doubts and insecurities and uncertainties, and this sort of older nerd who happened to be gay spoke to me, and I basically went, "No, I'm not gay, I'm not gay, fuck, I'm gay." Right? And I have never spoken about this experience because it happened privately, and I'm very ashamed of it. But I feel like it's relevant to bring it up now because, like, it's a bit of a joke to refer to the idea of, like, gay people in denial being homophobic. But genuinely, reading this book, Neurotribes by Steve Silberman, I woke the fuck up to the fact that I've kind of recently, within the last couple of years, finally really accepted that yes, I am actually autistic. It's like the shit hit so much of a fan that basically it was unavoidable now. I couldn't pretend, it's just other people being cockends, right? It's like, no, I literally can't deal with people. Fuck off, right? But I had been in denial about it for a long time, and I was still, and kind of still am to a certain extent, going, what are you talking about? I'm not autistic. I'm not autistic. What are you talking about? No, I'm mild. I doubt the science of your autism diagnosis. And then I read this book, and it's like, goes through all the different diagnostic processes, shows all the ways that, neurotypical people are dickheads, but it also gives you a sense of how, like, this is the first time I've really understood what being autistic means as far as neurotypical people are concerned, right? Because I have asked this more than once in, like, geek sensitive, like, groups, sort of, can you define social skills? Would it be possible? And people have just gone, no, that would be mean, so no. It's like, okay, then I have no fucking clue. And it's like, here I finally understand what it means to be autistic as far as neurotypicals are concerned, and also at the same time, as far as other autistic people are concerned, and I identify myself within it, and at the same time, I cringe because I am autistic phobic as well. I've got internalized autistic phobia, right? I've been shitty to people who are autistic. I have made more than one post saying, should autistic people be taught social skills? Because it's like, when all you have to navigate the world is the neurotypical bigots around you, you're just like, okay, fine, if I have to fucking do this for you, at least give me a set of fucking rules. Right? If you're gonna keep constantly saying, oh, you don't know, you don't have any social skills, you lack common sense, right? Then the natural sort of, desire, the natural question is, well, okay, then what are the fucking rules? Write them cocking down, right? I mean, I'm not necessarily going to follow them, but at least then I'll have a chance to. But if you try to write down unwritten social rules, well, then they won't be unwritten anymore. Oh, they're so difficult, and they're so transitory, and they're so consistently changing all the time. So we're still going to isolate and socially ostracize people because they don't know them, but at the same time, we're not going to bother to codify them. Okay, great, good, just so I know your cock ends. But, like, I genuinely have noticed myself doing the neurotypical things of going, oh, why can't you just be normal? And it's like, dude, you have tits. You've got a Nazi hate cult stalking you. And you write fiction stories about women getting kept as pets and eaten alive. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't be lecturing people on what is normal. So yeah, I have woken the fuck up. And I've also woken up to the fact that kind of to the way my brain works. I mean, I still have to kind of explore it to a certain extent, but I'm realizing what the differences are and what the limits are. Okay? I've expressed before that kind of what I do is I binge something. I binge it for years, and then kind of I reach a saturation point, and I just kind of get bored of it and move on. Right? It will always remain a part of my life, passively in the background to a greater or lesser extent, but once it's gone. Right? And it's like, that happened with sharks, that happened with The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that happened with Cars, that happened with Doctor Who, that happened, that's now kind of happening with politics. I shift and I change and I adapt, and I get bored. And also, something about me is that I can kind of convince myself to do something I don't really want to do, but it doesn't stick, right? I mean, I'm watching Blake 7 at the moment. I'm actually watching Blake 7 and the sort of BBC 2000s Robin Hood series, and kind of comparing the two, because they make kind of good counterpoints, because one's kind of sort of sci-fi futuristic in the sort of the past when effects weren't so good, one's sort of in the past, but sort of with better effects. You know, one's got an old guy who's genuinely very experienced, but it's kind of grimmer and darker. And the other's sort of a younger guy who is more kind of narratively amazing and charismatic, and it's a lighter show. Again, as I say, I didn't agree in giving a shit about this stuff. But I'm watching this show, and in Blake 7, part of this sort of the background, the origin story of the legend of Blake is this idea that he essentially had his mind wiped and then a new personality laid over the top. And then it just didn't quite stick. Right? And it kind of feels like that's what I can do for myself. Right? Like, I can convince myself, like, I don't lie. I don't like to lie, but there are times when you can't say the truth. So what you have to do is use elements of the truth to construct, well, not to construct, but to allow the misinterpretation of the facts. Like, I mean, the kind of the classic sort of small scale sort of version of this thing is like, for me, you know, I've gone through a lot of shit lately. I don't like being asked how I am, because it's like, okay, we're gonna be here 3 hours, right? I wonder how many people will turn off at this point going, God, 3 hours! But no, probably won't be here 3 hours. Probably. But, you know, that's why I don't like answering the question of, how are you? You're right. So I have to shut them up, right? And it's like, you know, I can't say no, because then that starts a whole conversation and a thing, and now we're cha-chaing, right? I can't stay silent. I can't change the subject, frankly, because neurotypical people are just assholes, right? They don't understand, right? Oh, you've said you're not okay. You want me to leave it? I'm gonna leave it. Right? Neurotypical people just pursue and pursue and pursue and pursue and pursue, and it's like, okay, fuck you, you bastard. So I have to say yes. But the way I allow myself to say yes is I'm saying my current present mood, right? And it's like, you know, yeah, I'm in a really fucking bad place, objectively. Subjectively, as a person driven by emotion, well, not driven by emotion, but as a person with emotions, I do often prefer to be happy. And so I do things that make me happy. So I can genuinely, without lying most of the time, say, yeah, I'm alright, when really I'm very, very definitely not. And so, you know, that's all well and good when it's, you know, something small like, are you okay? You're alright, sort of thing. It's quite another thing when you have to say, I don't know, pretend you have massive interest in a particular corporation that you actually think is a soulless husk of evil, right? So, you know how sort of like the alt-right and these various terrorist sort of cells can sort of indoctrinate people. Well, it's like, there is a part of my brain that goes, now, we need to do a big lie. So, put on the indoctrination goggles, we're going to load up program 48. And I just kind of make myself believe enough in a narrative, in what I want to be, that as far as I'm concerned it is, right up until the programming stops sticking. And when it stops sticking, it stays unstuck. And there really isn't much that can be done to change that, right? And kind of currently the kind of difficulty choosing words, yes. This is a case of my autism going, you sure you want to say that? You sure you want to say that? But recently, things have reached a kind of impasse. A point where survival is dependent upon my brain being able to make a certain leap, right? It's a leap of faith into a frying pan on the assurance that, oh, a frying pan, it's just a life raft. What are you talking about? Nothing bad's gonna happen. What are you talking about? But I have no other option, right? I have no other option. So I'm probably gonna have to do it. You know? And from a kind of logistical point of view, even if I hate it and despise it, and I'm gonna experience snapback, if that can grant me a little extra fucking time to maybe, well, I'm not gonna work something out because frankly I've had 2 years to work something out, but to maybe get lucky somehow. For things to get better somehow, right? You know, at least, you know, run out the clock of all the chances that I could, that I could possibly get, right? And I'm having to kind of genuinely consider what do I want to do? What are my priorities? What's important to me in life? Because I am at an impasse. And it's nothing to do with autism, actually. Like, of all my problems, autism isn't really one. In fact, the only way that autism could possibly rate as a problem in my life is the fact that when I look back over the last 2 years, I think the reason why my social life crashed and burned, and the reason why the reason why my dating life crashed and burned was because my autism meant that I was liable to make mistakes and fall prey to people who didn't understand. Well, not prey suggests a degree of intelligence on their part and lack of intelligence on my part. That's not fair. But I feel like I understand now how my being autistic meant that there were certain mistakes that I made and attempts at exploitation that arseholes made because of this perceived weakness in being autistic, right? And actually, I now understand both how these events happened in the first place to destroy my social life, having got to Woking, and I also now understand the ways in which I didn't properly fight the enemy that chose to stalk me, right? In the sense that I know that I am an equal. I know that I am indeed damn superior to many people who call themselves the alt-right. But I also now understand from having reading up on politics and stuff that basically it doesn't fucking matter what reality is. It matters what the indoctrinators can have other people think you are, right? It doesn't matter to a certain extent what I say, what I do. What matters to the alt-right community is that I present to them a useful mascot of what happens if you don't subscribe to their grand red pill mythology. Oh, look, he's so close, he's such a bastard. Not like our civilized folks with our girlfriends. So, if you want to be like him, go ahead, believe in feminism, believe in communism. But if you want to be a real man and get some pussy, then take the red pill. Then you can be a god among men, not like that. And it's like, these are people who likely have intellectual capacity less than me on my worst days. But they have an understanding of social cliquiness that means they don't have to give a shit what I say, what I stand for, what I do, what the reality is, because they know fundamentally how internal group dynamics will forget the facts and seize upon the easily memorizable and come to mindable aspects of something. Nobody watches my videos. Instead, they look at the title and they look at my face and they go, ah, he how do I don't like, he look way I don't like, la ha ha, I superior, I must go tell him he a cock. But at the same time, I see now in all these broken, bastard, stupid fuckers that they are failed. They are failed because nobody cares about giving understanding and respect to the white men who are mean. Which means that when white men are going through, their testosterone phase or their rebellious, dickish, ooh, hunting, shocking phase, they don't have people to pull them over to the side of righteousness and say, hey buddy, you're being a cockend. I mean, I suppose I'm thankful in a way that I am autistic in such a way that, for me, I latched on to shows that taught me morality, that taught me a way of looking at the world and understanding it that made sense, that has only helped my intellectual capacity and my ability to engage with people socially, right? I have made mistakes. I have made big ass fucking mistakes. And reading this book, I am especially fucking aware now of like the contexts within which those mistakes were made, right? Like, I just, if you read Neurotribes and you know what I'm referring to, you will read this and you will kind of go, oh, yeah, because I very definitely did have like an early 30-minute version of this video that was basically just me going, trans people, I'm sorry, I get it now. But I have grown up and gained more wisdom and hopefully become less of a douchebag now. Of course, my writing is always going to be problematic because I like pretty girls and I cannot lie. Well, no. Let's just be clear. I like pretty young women and I cannot lie. Just, yeah. Watching Blake 7 and sort of being aware of just like, yes, there are things that people are tainted with, and it's like, you know what? I know we use girls kind of generally to just mean women in society, or at least young women in society. Just wanted to be clear, since I know I've got an RC hate cut. No. Especially as they're likely to be sore over the whole, you know, Milo thing and Ivanka thing. You know, they're gonna lash out. But you know, my writing is going to be problematic. But I think I am, you know, occasional bouts of dickheadery aside, I think I am now come to the conclusion that I have now accepted within myself that I am not actually a misogynist, and that I'm not actually transphobic. I may be deeply trans ignorant, and I may have deeply offended people, and I am sorry about that. So what am I talking about? I did deeply offend people, and I am very sorry about that. But I think I have made peace with my sins now, and I am trying to be a better person, and I think I am making peace with that way of life, of striving to be better, right? We fuck up, we make mistakes, we piss off people we shouldn't, but what matters is redemption. What matters is, well, not even redemption, because redemption is kind of like the sort of the sad, limp, lefty cousin to revenge, right? Redemption is, well, if I do enough good, it will undo the harm that I have done. No, it won't. But, like, you move forward and you try not to be a cockhead in future. And that's what I'm trying to do. Not be a cockhead. Mind you, I'm still not sure how much of a future I'll have, because technological unemployment, climate change, and the fact that I am moving house and I still have no fucking idea where the fuck I'm gonna be living. So yeah, times are scary. That's scary. But you should go read Neurotribes. It's a very good book. Neurotribes by Steve Silberman. And yeah, there is writing coming. There is a series, well, a mini sub-series thing coming. It's probably going to be cut together into a kind of sort of Rashomon style. Well, not Rashomon style, but you know, that kind of different stories told one after the other of the same experience. That's going to be out fairly soon, because I really don't have much of the sort of this redraft left to write. And then there's just a bit of polishing up to do, cutting things together, and then yeah, I'll probably put it out on the blog. Yeah. So yeah, I guess this is no. I can't say, so I guess this is goodbye then, after talking about an uncertain future. I can't say that. So until we meet again, good squires and gentlefolk, until we meet again. Thank you for watching my main channel. Please remember to leave a like, favourite and comment. Shout out to the dislike club. Subscribe if you like what you saw, and share if you know someone who might be interested in the contents of this video. If you would like to help ensure more videos get made, there are a few options available to you. You can whitelist this channel in your adblock software to ensure what ad revenue you provide has a chance of making its way to me. If you sign up to make a regular monthly donation through my Patreon, then you will get to watch a selection of videos available exclusively to my Patreon supporters over at my Patreon page. One-off donations are payable through PayPal, or if that doesn't suit your sensibilities, you can gift items through Steam or Amazon via my public wish lists. Obviously, I don't expect anything, and the vast majority of my videos will remain free and ad-supported. All that remains is to say Trump should be impeached, the genocidal must be stopped, and institute universal basic income now.